welcome back. It's Uncle Destiny here, and it's time to do our New Year's reading. So this is going to be the reading for 2014 for the calendar year. Now this is making
Cut.
All right, because it's part of me is already thinking out, and it's like, oh no, that doesn't sound right. Re-edit. All right. So
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Uncle Destiny. So today we're going to be doing our reading for the year 2014. Now this is going to be for the calendar year, not so much the seasonal year, which begins more around the spring period. So this reading will be a little longer, and it will be, as I said, very general, since we're going to be, the spirits may have commentary about many things. So we'll try and get those down to some of the key elements. But again, this is going to be for covering the year from January to December of 2014. So let's go ahead and get the ancestors and the spirits in and see what they have to say about this next year. Okay, well, we had a number of them go off the board, and so those that go off the reading surface are not part of the reading. So, for 2014, our central mass, rather than being our usual major bones here, are much more of the structural support bones, the rib, the spinal bones, and so forth. So it's very much about, this next year is very much about the key structure, the structural support, and in a way, the infrastructure. Everything that goes on in the body is based off of one central structure, which is the spinal cord, or spinal column. Everything that branches out from there. So this coming year is going to be very much about rebuilding the central infrastructure of our world, of our time, of our lives, so that everything else can work around it. Which then leads into this larger bone here, which is on top of the copper. And this one is very much rooted in our needs base. And this one is also, in a sense, it's kind of like the home and family bone, but it's very much, it's more about our central needs. And we need to reevaluate those. Do we truly want the behaviors that have been the epitome of the last 2 decades being what we want to bring into this next year? So, that's talking about the greed, the instant gratification, the ends justify the means. Are we really thinking about the decisions that build our future? And not just this generation, but the next generation, and for 7 generations down the road. There is the old saying, if you can let your decisions be ones that are made that will impact 7 generations from now, not just the here and now. We have to live in this moment, yes. But what we're thinking about in the future, what we want for the future, what we want to make in the future, is very key about what we decide here and now. And that's also laying down the infrastructure for those things in the future. So that may mean planning to return to school. That may mean increasing what you're doing with your savings. So if you get a tax return, put it away so that you can have that vacation next Christmas, so that you can buy the new car, so that you can get the house, so that you can start the business. All of this is about setting up the foundations, the infrastructure that's needed to build everything else, which also comes to the fact that this 2014 ends in a 4, which is a foundational number. So you can't build most structures unless you have 4 sides to develop the foundation. So that's why this is very much focusing on what that support system is. Then that support system also may require you to break some ties. There's going to be strife. There's going to be those who aren't happy with the idea that you're trying to lay out a foundation. But there's also the aspect there's a lot of growing pains and structure, and things that have to be developed to develop a new infrastructure for things. And that's coming up with the broken bone. So you're going to have some people that aren't happy about it, but you're also going to have some fights and struggles in developing that infrastructure that's needed for this next year. It's also reevaluating what parts of this infrastructure haven't been working. As much as I hate to say it, and I really don't want to get too political, look at what happened with Congress. There's infrastructure issues there, even in its own structure, that have worked against it and worked against its functioning. So the same goes with the laws that we have right now. Are our laws being ones that are providing for our infrastructure? So many things aren't being dealt with because of the cost in the moment versus in what's going to happen in the future. Now, other things that the bones talk about, which still builds off that element of infrastructure, is reevaluating what decision making we're doing, how we're doing it, who's doing it. Are we putting in the ones that are flashy and give the good speech, or the ones that actually can do the work? And this last 2 decades have also been very much about flash and dash and the sweet words. And then people skipping out. Look at all the CEOs that walked away with a massive amount of money for destroying companies. So this time we need people, and we need to focus on those people that we're putting into office, those people that you're putting into a position of running your various divisions in your company, about being people who can actually do the work versus do the talk. So building that structure is very, very key for longevity, because the longer you can have money coming in from your business, from your investments, from the stuff that you invest in, let alone also from the, well, simply put, people that you're bringing into your world, the longer you're going to be able to go on than having the quick momentary. And the moment and that instant gratification is what has been hurting us a lot. Now, this set of bones here is calling to me, and they're saying much more about weather. This is going to be part of an odd cycle. So I would say for the state of California and the West Coast, we're looking at a new drought season. It's already been showing up, but it's going to become very much set that we are in the next drought cycle compared to what it's been in the other years. And this one's going to be a little longer, so it's going to be much drier, so get ready to do some more conservation. And this too leads back into the element of infrastructure. The infrastructure that's taking care of our water supply, or your water supply. Same thing goes for food chains. So some of the areas of the growing belt are not going to be seeing the best water season. So it's going to be looking more to what can be more sustainably done. Less meat, more vegetables. Then we have our structure here, which is this sort of dog-legged group here. And the thing about that one is showing that they started saying something and they pulled it back. So what do you want to say? This structure here is much more tied to not so much the social fabric, but more the geological fabric. So some things are going to be happening. I mean, as we had in this last year, we had certain islands come out of existence that are made of mud. We're going to be seeing some more geological shifts going on. More along the lines of maybe seeing some more volcanoes either becoming more active or discoveries of ones that people didn't realize were there. Also seeing, there's going to be some earthquakes. Like that's nothing new to most of us, but we're going to see some that are going to reveal some new changes in the land. Things, areas that we thought were structurally sound aren't, and some areas that weren't structurally sound are becoming sound. There will probably be at least 2 more major tidal wave actions hitting the Pacific rim, and at least 2 more of the major hurricanes are going to be higher categories that are going to hit the areas of Florida and the Gulf Coast. And I will say the eastern seaboard should get ready for another storm to hit like this last season. Probably not as bad as the one that hit New York recently, but it will definitely travel its way up a bit. Now, then we have this bunch over here. What does this one want to say? As usual, as everyone's worried about the financial markets, the structure is still playing on with that. We are going to see economic improvements, but again, it's going to be slow. It isn't going to be the instant gratification again. So you're going to build, you got to build slowly. That's where the planning comes in. That's where the infrastructure comes in. So saving more, setting up those retirement plans, but also understanding what you're buying. Do you really need that extra gigabyte of memory? Do you actually need that new car? Do you just need to repair something in your present car versus getting an entirely new one and stretch things out for at least another 6 months to a year? So it's about being not so much conservative, but being much more aware and open to what you're actually building. Not the instant moment, not that just here and now moment. It's what's going on in the future. Unfortunately, gas prices are still going to go up a bit more. Shame for all of us that drive trucks and SUVs. Anything else they want to tell us? The other element would be this is going to be a good year too for relationships. And that gets into that infrastructure and thinking rather than the instant gratification. So a slowing down and approaching your relationships as, am I getting not just what I need physically, but what am I getting emotionally, spiritually? A lot of our culture has been always taught the physical satisfaction, but we also need to work on the emotional and the spiritual satisfaction. Those are what actually generates the long-term relationships, the ones that we always hear about, the couple staying together for 50 years. Those are much more emotional, spiritually based relationships and structure. Yes, there does need to be a degree of physical elements in there, but then we need much more of that emotional and spiritual based relationships, because those are the ones that feed us for longer and for better and build our society. So you're looking at your infrastructure around relationships. Understand what you need emotionally, what you need spiritually, less of what you need physically. You're going to get that one way or another. But with that, the spirits are withdrawn, and that's pretty much what they're saying for the year of 2014. So remember, in a nutshell, it's about building your infrastructure. It's about less of an instant gratification. It's about what do you really want for this world? What do you really want to have tomorrow, the day after that, weeks from now, even years from now? Make your decisions based not on what's going to happen in this moment, but what will happen in the future. What you're building for 7 generations from now. That's what's going to be key. That's the infrastructure you're building. And yes, you're going to have to struggle for some of it. Some of it's going to be blood, sweat, and tears. But what it builds, what it provides a foundation for, is much more impressive and much better. Not just for you, but for everybody. So, with that, we thank the ancestors, and I wish you a blessed 2014. Ashe.